what we're gonna do today is we're trying something pretty different. I wanted to do a off-season preview for all the teams, and we made a spreadsheet, and then the spreadsheet was great, but there's actually a really great video game that's called Outside the Park Baseball or Out of the Park Baseball. It's if you're a baseball nerd and you haven't played it, it's an Excel sheet with just enough video game to keep you hooked. It has
It's
40-man
yeah.
rosters. It's basically it puts you in the seat of a GM. It's great.
It's
So
affectionately known as spreadsheets the game.
yes, and
And one thing I enjoy about it, not to, we're doing kind of an OTP commercial right now, but like you can do historical leagues. I do historical leagues on there.
yep,
I go back to playing like the 80s and stuff, but you can do you can do fictional. You can make up leagues and all kinds of crazy. People make like if you ever go on their forum, people make like whole entire worlds and stuff to
yep.
relate to their teams. But it's a really fun, immersive game for how simplistic it is, really.
It has it uses like the 80-20 chart or stars. Like it goes back to like 1870. You can play seasons back, bring up through Babe Ruth, all like Dan was just saying. Like it's true. If you're a baseball nerd, you need to play this game. It's typically like $40 when it starts off. I think it's on sale now.
Yeah, for the duration
But
of the World Series.
I've been playing it for a couple of years, and I've put hundreds of hours in these stupid simulations. So, including one,
I
I'm
am
doing a
yeah,
Byron Buxton redo because when he came
nice.
with the Twins, and I'm just
That's
redoing his career without injuries. And wouldn't you know, he's pretty good. Who would have thought?
I am bad at this game. I I cannot figure it out. I'm gonna try to because I got 26 now.
Well, here's a bit of a tutorial. So anyway,
Yeah.
what we're gonna do. I'm gonna turn on the screen here. I simulated an entire season that didn't matter, and then I just brought the rosters current or as current I could for the Twins, and we're gonna do the Twins and the Guardians today. We can talk about payroll, 40-man roster, who we think's gonna be on, and OOTP is really good because it has all of these stuff kind of like harnessed and like it can show a pretty wide range of what we want to talk about. So these might not be completely accurate, but like it's pretty accurate. I think it was just kind of a fun idea anyway. So we can get started. So I have to go completely off of the screen because it's going to take up everything. So hopefully what I say is going to make sense. But oh, the 2026 Minnesota Twins. We can ignore this record. This was from the fictional league that they just did. By the way, the Guardians finished fourth. It makes no sense. They win the division in real life. They lost They were fourth in the division. We talked about that briefly before we went on air. Projection systems just don't like the Guardians. Apparently, they like the Twins' decimated roster better to be a 76-win team.
Did they have the Royals win the division? Because I feel like it
Nope,
likes the Royals.
nope. They had the Tigers. If I go to
Really?
I could go to the playoff tree, but the Tigers won the division as the sole representative for the Central. Any guesses on what the World Series matchup is? Because you won't get it.
Orioles and I don't know. I can't think of who would be on the
You got
National
the
League.
hard one. How did you get the Orioles?
Because I feel like that was a wild guess because like I feel like everyone expected the Orioles to be really good this year, and then they just
Game
weren't.
7 of the World Series, the Chicago Cubs beat the Baltimore Orioles.
Ah,
So,
that's
good
a
for them.
wild guess on my part.
It was a good
So,
guess. You had the right kind of mindset. That was a team that people were expecting big things from this year. So
they just plummeted. So, the Minnesota Twins going into this offseason. This financial screen is really I just set up for the payroll. With the payroll, I have no idea what the Twins are going to do. I can give it's kind of like that choose your own adventure book we had when we were younger. The Twins can jump to page 42, whereas the scenario where they have a 2023 payroll of 160 million, except for those pages have probably been ripped out by the poll ads, so that's not going to happen. They could have a payroll like it was at the end of this last season, which was 120 million, or we could go with the two other options. One where I think they're going to have a $95 million payroll, and then I actually think my favorite, not my favorite, but the most likely is their payroll is going to be around $70 million. This screen is just kind of showing that The salaries going into this season, we're looking at 2026 here. There are 2 guaranteed contracts for the Minnesota Twins. Pablo Lopez making 21 and basically $22 million, and Byron Buxton making 15.1. Byron Buxton has a no trade contract, no trade clause in his contract. He's very like he's said pretty adamantly, he's not going anywhere. He is a Twin for life, and I have a feeling the Minnesota Twins are going to challenge that as much as they can, but we'll see.
I thought Buxton was getting more, to be honest.
Nope, he signed this right after the last time the Twins had a blow up at the trade deadline. He signed a 7-year extension in the offseason of 2022, and that was when he was obviously he's been very injured. So they basically took the percentage of games he had been playing, took his value of a season of those games, and then figured out a salary from there. So they basically got him for half off of what he would have gotten on the open market. Certainly, he is worth more than $15 million this year. One of the reasons he took that salary is, one, he didn't want to probably deal with free agency and like his injury history. He was teammates with Carlos Correa, who went through his own fiasco with his medicals. So I think he liked Minnesota. He chose to sign a team-friendly deal, went from there. Pablo Lopez. If you want to say there's an outlier contract on this team, it's Pablo. He's probably their best pitcher all around. You can take his overall OOTP. He's a 55 graded pitcher on the game, out of 80. So pretty good all-star caliber starter. He has, honestly, probably a market value, like a fair market value contract. He is probably worth a little bit more. If he was going to sign a free agent deal this year, he's probably going to get 5 or 6 years around the $25 million mark. He's slightly below average, but on this team, that's a lot when their payroll is going to be about $95 million, which is why I think just moving him can bring them down to $75 million, and I don't see why they're going to keep him.
Am I right to say that was not a contract he signed with the Twins? He was a trade, correct?
No, he did.
They inherited this contract from
No.
a trade.
Get this, the Twins traded for him and then extended him.
Okay,
Oh.
I missed that part. All
When
right.
they traded, does anyone remember who he was traded for?
Luis Ariz.
Yeah. Which try
Fan
trading.
favorite, right?
Yes. I mean, that if anyone remembers when that happened, Pablo, his first month with the Twins, kind of struggled, and his second month he was brilliant. But Luis Ariz that year for the Marlins won the batting crown, and I think, I'm not kidding, in April, I think he hit 400.
Yeah.
And people in Minnesota were freaking out because Lopez had like a 4.75 ERA, and Ariz was, being really exciting in Miami. So that right away was not a popular decision, but
I'll say this.
Yep.
There's a reason why Ariz has been traded multiple times.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's necessarily a character thing. That's not what I mean.
No,
But
he's very well liked. He just can't he's not a good defender, and he doesn't
it
hit
just
the power.
seems like he's a good player to have on your roster in theory.
Yes.
And then you get him and you
In
realize,
practice,
oh,
this really doesn't work.
there's some cracks here. There's some, yeah.
And when the Twins traded him, they put him at second, but like he has shoddy knees to begin with. He wasn't a good defensive second baseman, so they put him to first, and he's like 3'8". He's not, but particularly like, I think he's incredibly smart. Like when he was on the Twins, he was probably one of their best base runners, even though he was one of their slowest runners. Like I think he has such a high baseball IQ. And then you just look at him taking in his bats. He can just almost, like what they used to say about Tony Gwynn. He can choose where he's going to hit the ball. It doesn't matter where you pitch it. He's going to put it where he wants. But once they put him to first base, then you're comparing him to other first basemen. And an 800 OPS first baseman is the standard. Luis Ariz has to do a lot to get to an 800 OPS. But still a good player. Wish he was on the Twins. Honestly, he's probably cheap enough now. The Twins basically have an opening at first base. I think he's going to be non-tendered, or if he's not a free agent for the Padres, we could see Luis back. That would be fun. But we'll see. Try making the Pablo Lopez trade for Ariz today. I don't think anyone will pick up the phone. So
I feel like in today's game, you need to have 2 of 3 things to be viewed as like a valuable player: on base, slug, or defense. You gotta have 2 of the 3. You know, you can't get by with just you get on
what's
base all the time. You gotta have
interesting about Arise also is he doesn't walk a lot. He has such
Yeah.
elite contact skills, and he will foul balls off. And then he controls the strike zone. But if you throw him a strike, he'll just slap it for a single. Like he
Yeah.
really doesn't ever get to 2 strikes or to 3 balls. He just hits the first
He's
pitch.
not he's not patient. Yeah, he doesn't work a count in a way.
Yeah. So anyway, I liked Rise. I have his T-shirt jersey. He was another one of the cursed Twins players. I get their jersey and then they get traded away. I also have a Pablo Lopez sweatshirt. So see how
What
that
does that
turns out.
say?
It's a death.
Yep. So you'll see this third contract. This player is no longer with the Minnesota Twins. He's also very overrated in this version versus what he is. But Carlos Correa has about $10 million or $30 million the Twins are going to be paying him for the rest of the guaranteed contract years. Really don't pay attention to the rest of his past 2027 because those are team options that the Astros can pick up. So the Twins just sent $30 million to not play Carlos Correa. I'm going to guess his $10 million ghost is going to be the second highest salary on the team, which is a statement.
Yeah, that's not what you want. You don't
No.
want your second highest paid player to be a guy who's not on your team.
Who's not on your team? Yeah, it's great.
Actively competing against you.
So the rest, they have a lot of minimum salary guys. I do want to just bring up the screen. Let's go to salary arbitration. Let's go to the Minnesota Twins because their arbitration is actually pretty... Nope, I want to go back to... Okay, well, this is where doing an on-air meeting here. Give me other human act as none. Sorry, everyone. We're going back here. Manager's office. Offseason center. I want arbitration. Oh, I got rid of. Here we go. Nope. Okay, it really just wants to mess with me. We're just going back to the salary screen. The arbitration numbers are for the Twins are most of the starters. So this really should make you sad if you're a Twins fan because you have some promising names. You have Ryan Jeffers, who has been a solid starting catcher. I don't think he's all-star level, but he's definitely he's a solid, good hitting catcher. Poor defensive catcher. He's getting to be 28 years old. He has 1 year left before he goes to free agency. Who knows what they're going to do with him? It really depends on what the Twins front office thinks that they're going to do with this team. If they don't think they're going to be competitive, which they probably should believe they're not going to be competitive, if the payroll sticks at $95 million, you can probably look to trade Jeffers, who's probably going to make around $6.5 million in arbitration. Joe Ryan probably cost himself a couple $1,000,000 going into like in the last half of the season. He really struggled in September. He was projected to make like $8.5 million and then just I think had like a 4.5 ERA for his last 6 starts, so that didn't help him out there. Bailey Ober has been solid except for this year. He was dealing with some hip issues. He's 6'10", 6'10" dude with a hip issue, and especially they already struggle with mechanics. He was one of the Twins' first success stories for like increased velocity. Now, if you're 6'10", have hip issues, and your mechanics are off because of that hip issue, it can be real tricky. It should be a real question mark if he can get back to doing that. We'll see. The first real like question the Twins have, to me, on if they're going to keep him is Trevor Larnach, who was part of that first wave, this wave of prospects that has just flamed out. Larnach is this 6'4", 225-pound dude who looks like he can hit the ball 500 feet, and occasionally he does. The difference is he's a poor defending left fielder that has like a 99 OPS plus for his career. 28 years old. What can you really do? Like, you can. A 99 OPS plus is fine, but when you're a poor defensive left fielder in a position where you need to hit significantly better than that, might be a cut. So he might be a $4 million cut from there. Royce Lewis, they're going to keep. He's going to cost about $3 million. What a fall this guy has had. He played better in the second half. Who really knows what he's going to do? Easy cut next is Jose Miranda. Completely fell off the face of the earth. He was demoted in April, will probably never play Major League Baseball again. He hit, I believe, I think in the 660s. He was one of the worst AAA players in baseball when he was demoted. He is probably... Yeah, he's done. Then you have what's left of the bullpen. Let's just go talk about this bullpen, because honestly, if you're going to keep Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez, and I have them listed here on this side, Bailey Ober, Simeon Wood Richardson actually had a pretty nice year. I say he had a nice year. He had an okay year. He has been, I think his ERA plus was like 104, which is, for a fifth starter, that's great. I don't know how much more you can ask for that, somebody with his ceiling, especially with how much he struggled. But this is where I honestly have no idea what the Twins are going to do with their bullpen and their pitching staff. At the trade deadline, they traded for Taj Bradley and Mick Abel, two near MLB ready or MLB ready players. But Taj Bradley had already been in the majors for 3 or 4 years. Just hasn't clicked. I think we talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago that he, when he was with the Rays, wasn't paying attention to scouting reports, which was shocking to me at the time. He just hasn't clicked in the majors. If they can unlock something with Taj Bradley, he used to be a top, 50 worldwide prospect. But that was 3 years ago. How much you want to weigh on that? They traded him for Griffin Jacks. Taj Bradley, if he can't figure it out, probably going to the bullpen. Outside of that, Mick Abel traded for Duran. Probably, they're going to give him a chance to start. He's probably going to be in the bullpen also. He looked so bad for so long. He had one great start at the end of the year against the Phillies, and he has the stuff to do it. He can throw 100. He has a pretty good breaking ball. It's just, for whatever reason, he gets to the majors and he has just got crushed. The other two names that Twins fans should be familiar with, Zebby Matthews and David Festa. Pretty similar players, high velocity, borderline top 100 prospects this time last year. David Festa is flirting with thoracic outlet syndrome, which is never a good sign. That's just as scary as Tommy John, at least to me, if not scarier. And Zebby, for having a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a decent slider, hasn't done much. He just hasn't been that good. So he could also be in the bullpen too. But those are 8 starters.
Before you move off of that, and I think maybe you were headed here. First of all, yeah, it's 8 starters. You're going to need depth. Every team needs depth. If you have 5 starters, you don't have enough. So you at least have a pool of starters to pull from. My reaction to 2 of these guys, Taj Bradley, did he get hurt during his Twins tenure? Because he only had 6 starts, and the ERA in those was 661, which
He
is
wasn't.
hatred.
He wasn't called up right away. I think he had 2 or 3 starts in AAA. He did get hurt. I can't remember what the injury was, but he was out for a couple of weeks too. And when he did come up, I think he had 2 short, brutal starts. And then he had a run of 3 or 4 starts where he was actually pretty good, swing and miss. And that was the comment of, the Twins beat writers asked him what he had done differently. Okay. And he said, I just read the scouting report. So, whatever.
And then the second, Mick Abel. So this is a very, very casual reaction. I haven't really deep dived into Mick Abel at any point in time. But I feel like he's been a prospect for a really long time. I've heard his name for a really long time. And the fact that I've heard his name for a really long time, and this is his first shot to get to the majors, and then his first shot to get to the majors didn't go so well,
Yeah.
that train's headed the wrong direction. That's my reaction to him in this point in time.
Yeah. I hadn't heard of him. Like, I haven't paid attention to the Phillies farm system until recently when the Twins, traded two of their better players this year for him. You can see the tools. Like, as a starter, he can pump it up to triple digits. Like, he has this, I guess, the fastball velocity he has the velocity you want, and he does have a good off speed pitch. But yeah, there's something. And when he's in AAA, I think he had like a sub 3 ERA. But the Phillies called him up this year to make his debut. He struggled. They sent him down. The Twins traded for him. Basically did the same thing. It's his first taste of the majors. I think you want to see a little bit more. He's 24 years old going into next year. You want to see, like, if there's a chance he can be a starter, go ahead and leave him there. I also think if you're going to trade Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez, just put Mick Abel in the starting rotation. All right, like, what are we waiting for? Like, see what you can do for
This
75.
season could get weird. Let's just go ahead and try some of these guys and see what happens, kind of situation for sure.
And I'm also going to guess, like, if Pablo and Joe get traded, you're going to have Bailey Ober and then a bunch of former near top 100 prospects that haven't proved themselves. I think the Twins, when you say get weird, I think that's exactly right. They're going to do a lot of piggyback starts. They're going to have a lot of 4 inning starts and then schedule in another starter. Like, they're going to have Taj Bradley start the game, and then in the 5th inning, they're going to bring in Mick Abel to do the next 4 innings. Like, and that just
Right.
might be the plan next year. Like,
Time
because
to experiment. Might as
right.
well.
And, like, who knows what goods comes from that? That'll work out. That worked out really well because I did that with Pearson Ole and with Travis Adams this year. We were 2 relievers that aren't listed on here. They were not even real prospects, and they did that. And they ended up getting to the majors. So, like, there is something to say, like, what happens with those fringe starter types that maybe shouldn't be stretched out to go 7 innings, but could go through a lineup once or twice.
Right.
Who knows? I mean, if you believe that tell me if I'm disagreeing with this. This pitching staff doesn't look great on paper, but you can squint and look at the names. Now, again, they're the names they have to perform. You can look at the names and at least, like, the stuff they have, and you can squint and you can see a functional major league staff if you keep Lopez and Ryan.
There's bones
Yeah,
here.
Yes.
yeah. There's something there. It's just a lot of they haven't played in the majors much, so you don't really know what you have, but they could be.
So then you have the bullpen, which is obliterated. So I'm going to put, they have those 4 starters. 2 of the, like, 4 starters that for the last, like, spot, let's just say, put the rest of them in the bullpen. Like, there's no reason to put them down. They will, don't get me wrong, they will pull them down next year in AAA to start off the season. But to me, there's no need. You can keep these guys stretched out and let's see what Zebby Matthews can do when he's not stretched out to 6 innings. Like, let's see what he can do with 4. If he performs well, okay, then maybe put him in the actual rotation, see if he can do 5 or 6. But if he struggles, well, let's just see what Zebby can do, who can throw 100 miles an hour, start going for 6 innings. What can he do if he's just throwing for 2? Can he be the new Duran that throws 104 and it doesn't matter? Like, his fastball now becomes elite because it's 104? We'll see. The bullpen they have to figure out, though. So remember that point. You can look at this pitching staff and squint and see some potential. Now let's go to this lineup. Because, yeah, do you have a thought on that, Lee? Go ahead.
No, just on the bullpen, because, like, it's not going to matter if you can, out of your 8 starters, scrounge up 5 who can give you at least 5 innings, right? It's not going to matter if the bullpen's going to come in every time and it's going to give up 5 runs. I feel like that's what's going to happen.
Now, I say that. Now, remember that point, because I'm going to bring around... So anyway, remember that point, but I agree with you 100%. But I'm going to come back to that point after I get done talking about the hitters, just as the team as a whole. But let's go to lineups. This lineup is not encouraging. You have Byron Buxton, an underperforming Trevor Larnach. I put Matt Wallner in the DH. Honestly, and they refused to do this. Matt Wallner had a disappointing year, and he still had an 800, like a near, I think it was like a, yeah, he still had an 810 OPS, and he had a disappointing year. He's not going in the direction you want to see. He had a lot of strikeouts. He had a lot of non-competitive at bats. If you believe Matt Wallner is going to continue to go down that direction, you should probably trade him. He's still minimum salary, but like, what's the point? Like, they have a lot of corner outfielders coming up through that can kind of take their place, including Walker Jenkins, Emmanuel Rodriguez. To me, there's no reason to keep Matt Wallner in the outfield. And if you still feel like he's going to be a productive hitter, put him at DH. Or more importantly, the man is 6'4". Why can he not be playing first base? But yeah, the Twins have like refused at any point to put him at first base, and they've had such poor first base play in the last like 3 years. It makes like Trevor Larnach can play first, should be able to play first. Matt Wallner, they can just throw whoever the f they want. They threw Luis Ariz out at first base. They threw Cody Clemens at first base. They threw Donovan Solano at first base. They've throw much garbage. Ty France at a position that you're just looking for offense, and they put these medium to light hitting position players to play the least important, not the least important, one of the least important defensive positions on the field. Why can
You
Matt
guys
Wallner
had
not?
you guys had a Gold Glover at first base 2 years ago, though.
You did. You'd have Carlos Santana, and he had a very good year, but that's an outlier.
Agreed. Sorry to poke holes. I think apparently though, because I'm looking at Ty France's Savant page right now, he was a 7-run fielding run value at first base. For whatever reason, the Twins
Hey,
care
that's
about first base
AL
defense.
Player of the Week Ty France to you. Put some respect on
The,
his
the,
name.
the
Right.
point I'm making is, at least for the last 2 years, the Twins have said, we need a good defensive first baseman for whatever
Right.
reason, for right or for wrong.
And I couldn't tell you, like, to me, if you have a poor defensive first baseman, and they're certainly out there, especially like go look at any steroid era team, like none of those guys could play a good first base. Justin Morneau could. I'm not saying anyone could, but like you certainly had outliers. But why can you not just try Matt Wallner there? Like you need this offense is struggling, and you're putting a key offensive position and you're giving it to a 700 to 750 OPS guy when the standard is probably closer to 800. You have an 800 OPS guy who's not a good corner outfielder, who is trending down in an outfield defense. Why can he not just put him at first base? Why? Why not?
That's what gives you
Especially
here to
when
try it.
most of your high minor league top prospects are corner outfielders. Like they're gonna have an influx of these guys. So it's very weird to me that they don't put Wallner or Larnach. But I put Wallner in the DH. I would personally put him at first. You can teach him over the offseason if he can play first. Or you can teach him the offseason to play first, but we'll see.
It's not that hard, Scott.
It's right. Tell him Wash.
Sorry.
Center
Sorry to
fielder
derail.
Byron Buxton, the only above average bat, consistently in this lineup. He's been great. Hope he continues to be great. I hope he's not punished for being loyal to the Twins. Left field, this could be a number of names. I put Alan Roden because they traded for him. They obviously do like him because he was one of the few players that was actually brought up instantly after the trade deadline that they traded for. Everyone else kind of got sent down to AAA, including James Outman, who they're going to be using as a backup outfielder. James Outman, I mean, don't pay attention to his rating here. He is not that good. I wish he was that good. I hope I'm wrong next year, but he's just not. Rodin is like a fringe. I mean, not a fringe. He was like a former, like, borderline top 100 prospect guy. Controls the strike zone, good defender, good athlete, all that good stuff. I will say, with whatever the Twins are trying to do, they're going to be, they want to be a more athletic, defensive based team. Because they have definitely not been a good defensive team in the last couple of years, or they at least haven't been like speedy and toolsy. They've had one of the slower lineups or rosters in baseball. And if you even think like like if you think at the fastest positions they've had Carlos Correa, who's one of the shortest shortstops you'll find. A couple years ago, Jorge Polanco, who was an above average runner, was at second. Not an above average runner for second base. Outside of Byron Buxton, and like Willie Castro and like they had Harrison Bader, they've had a lot of just like heavy footed defenders. Royce Lewis used to be fast, probably an average runner right now. So Rodin is a signal that they're going to bring in more athletic guys and maybe be a more balanced offense. When before they were bringing in, heavy-footed defenders who were supposed to be able to hit, 30 home runs a year, and then they just failed to hit. Look at Brooks Lee, Keishel. Keishel had a really nice year. Probably outside of Buxton, the only highlight, well, Joe Ryan, the only highlight, 2-WAR season, kind of like that gritty, just fun player to watch. He's also, this year, he came back from Tommy John surgery at the start of this year. He then, in his first week of major leagues, got hit in the forearm and broke his forearm. So he was out for like 6 weeks, and then he missed the last 2 weeks of the season because he had to have surgery on his thumb. Not a great start for your first major league season.
Average Twins player.
Yep, that's about right. It's par for the course is what it is. Brooks Lee, I think he would be... I get less impressed with him every time. He had like 18 home runs, which I don't think anyone saw coming. Switch hitter, college kid, or college coach's son. Seems like an intelligent dude. He just... I don't know. He seemed like he would be a good super utility guy on a good team. But if he's your starting shortstop, I don't have a lot of hope. But, I mean, I'm also maybe being a little bit too harsh on him. He's 24 years old. He has the tools. He does show some improvement, but we'll see what happens with him. Who else haven't I talked about? Cody Clemens right now is the starting first baseman. I talked about that over to death. But so, that is... Huh?
Would they play Austin Martin at second? Can Keishel play first?
Yes, that's
It just
actually...
feels odd to me to play. We know who Cody Clemens is at this point. I
Mhm.
would consider playing Austin Martin at second and then Keishel at first, so that you could get more of those young guys at bats more consistently. I
Yes.
imagine with a team like the Twins, there's going to be mix and match a lot anyway. But that's just something that I would consider.
Yes.
Because I like Martin from what I've seen of him.
If you've seen the best part of him. He was
Probably.
if anyone remembers the Jose Barrios trade from 2021, it was Austin Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson for Barrios. So Martin is kind of like we talked a lot about Luis Ariz. He's kind of like Luis Ariz diet. Or he's more athletic. He's really not that good of a defender. Especially like they had him play shortstop long past anyone thought he would ever be a major league shortstop. Nobody ever thought he was going to be a major league shortstop, but they played him there until AAA, thinking he was a good enough athlete that he could go play center or left fielder. And then he gets to the majors playing those positions, and he just looked lost. And he of the last 2 months of the season played like actually took advantage of the opportunity. He played like himself. He probably bought himself 2 or 3 more years, or at least another year or two of just being considered to be a role player. You could put him at second, and they have played Keishel at first. What last year in the minors when they knew he needed to have Tommy John like early in the 2024 season, but because he was a position player, they just said go play first. It's not going to affect your swing. We're going to play you until I think it was like mid-August, whatever the date was. You could play as long as you could, have the surgery, and still be ready for the next year. They played him out through that, so he didn't lose the entire year.
What is it possible that that decision was made also in such a way that he wouldn't get a year of service time? Like they played him up until he could get a year of service time
I think
potentially.
he's only 22 right now, and he was
Okay.
like, we're talking like double A. Like he was
Oh,
only
okay. Never mind.
He was only
Never
like
mind.
drafted like 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, I don't think it was service time manipulation.
Gotcha.
Who knows? But that's not my read on it. Cody Clemens. I mean, Cody's fine. Cody, in a better context, like Cody Clemens on the Tigers would have been a feel good story, and he's still a feel good story for the Twins. But like
I'm
Cody
not trying
Clemens
to.
as your starting first baseman right now.
I'm not
Oh,
trying to push him off the Twins roster. I'm just saying we're clearly going young here. Why I would consider playing Martin more and Clemens
yeah.
less, just based off what we know about those two guys at this point in time.
So the reason, Sully, when you said with their bullpen being combustible, the point I wanted us to remember is this is the Twins roster as I think it's going to be with a $95 million payroll. And honestly, I think it's going to be closer to 75 because I don't think Pablo is going to be on this team next year. If they bring up the payroll to just what it was last year, you now have $30 million, 25, $30 million to spend on a couple of relievers and maybe a big bat or two. You can now look at that lineup and be like, okay, things have to go right, but you can squint at this roster and be like, maybe a 500 team. Once you get to that point, you then have now a lot of things need to go right. You have Walker Jenkins, who's going to be ready for the majors, hopefully early next year. Emmanuel Rodriguez coming up. You might be able to accelerate this rebuild if you even want to put the payroll to $120 million. And let's not forget, they cut it from $160 million the year before that. If they would go back to $160 million, then yes, I feel good about this team. That's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, the roster as constructed, the bullpen especially, is not a competitive team. With $30 million to spend, you can get yourself a good reliever or two, and you can maybe put up a fight, but
That's fair.
I don't think
Yeah.
they're going to.
That's the thing. You have to assume that they would add to that, but just as it stands, it's just.
Well, the thing is, what they're cutting. They have not came out and said they're cutting. 120 million would just be maintaining the payroll. Everyone is assuming that they're cutting to 90, and I'm assuming they're going to cut even farther than that. Because they also do have their minority owners coming in that aren't going to get sworn in, I think, until the middle of next month. Free agents will be signed before the Twins have their minor league, and then they keep talking about this $500 million debt that they need to pay back, which I think they've have it estimated like if you pay the minimum payment interest, if it's like 5%, it's like $40 million a year to keep that loan just alive. So that alone will hurt their payroll, but it's their fault that debt's on the books anyway. Any other thoughts on the Twins? I've depressed myself.
It's depressing. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a shell of a team, and it's not. I would love to tell you, like, yeah, they're going to have $30 million to spend, and they could maybe be competitive, but like, who are we kidding? Like, they're going to go bare bones. They're going to be around the 70 million mark, $75 million mark, which then brings you to the Oakland A's. That brings you to the Pirates, the Marlins. That's the company we're keeping with, folks. Good job,
All right,
Minnesota.
I got one question for you. You mentioned Walker Jenkins. Are there any other prospects who have not debuted yet who might be making a debut and significant impact on the team next year?
Yes, Emmanuel Rodriguez, who's been a prospect with them for a while. I'm not as high as him as others, but he has a unique skill set. He's a very patient, power hitting center fielder that's kind of speedy, but he's also like 5'10". Like he just has like a weird combination of skills. He's a speedy, power hitting, patient center fielder. I'm not as high because he has a high strikeout rate. Like he looks like I'm not gonna say Joey Gallo, but like kind of a Joey Gallo type. Not the arm, more athletic, but also Joey Gallo was also a much better athlete than I think people give him credit for.
Well, he's going to become a relief pitcher now.
I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think he said that.
I haven't seen any progress on that front.
And then they
So,
do have he's in Double A. He almost got called up to Triple A. Kalen Culpepper, who was their first round pick in 2023, had like an 800 OPS in Double A, basically a year after he was drafted. he could make an impact too. They have a couple, and then the rest are just like relievers. But like, I guess what is discouraging about that is we just saw an entire generation of prospects go through the Twins system. Larnick, Wallner's probably their best success story. Royce Lewis is a shell of himself. Edward Julian was supposed to be promising. Jose Miranda was supposed to be promising. Like they flopped. And even if you want to go extend further, Brooks Lee is not the hitter that he was projected to be. Like, development is certainly a concern at this point, and if they're making the right moves or not. So, I'd love to tell you those heroes, like the reinforcements are coming, but you have to trust that the Twins are doing the correct things with these prospects also.
And
That's how you ended
all
up
the
here
stuff
in the first place, right?
Right.
Because those guys didn't work out the way you had hoped.
Right. Matt Wallner is a success, and Matt Wallner is probably a platoon. And 800 OPS is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's certainly a needed hitter, but like, man, you just go down the names and you just think like, man, this was supposed to be like a division winning machine for the next 5 years, and it just, I mean, cutting the payroll certainly hurt that, but those players just didn't step up, regardless of what the payroll is, and that's what they were depending on.
Culpepper is a fantastic baseball name. It's very like 1910s baseball.
They have
name.
two of them now. There's CJ Culpepper, who's a pitcher in AAA, and you have Kalen Culpepper.
Nice. Very fun.
So, any other thoughts on the Twins? Anyone think they're finishing above 5th place? I don't.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Well, you never know in this sport, but
if you had to, so they had $30 million to spend. Are you spending it more? Are you spending most of that money on a bullpen or a bat?
Pitching. So I feel like it's less of a gamble on your current lineup right now. But I feel like this pitching wise, there's just so much empty space where you just got nothing. If that makes sense.
I agree. I'd go pitching, and I'll even say there's maybe 3 or 4 guys in that bullpen that I think aren't terrible actually, but
Right.
there's just not enough of them. Like you need another 4 at least.
You need at least one really good guy in the bullpen. You have no.
And by the way, if you do trade Lopez and or Ryan, then you need starters too. Like you just need guys that are going to be able to. You have so many innings in the season, you're going to have to pitch, and you don't have
trade.
Right now.
If they trade like Lopez, why they're trading Ryan? Like those to me, I almost like. Why are you keeping one over the other? One has. Like, one is like a third of the price, but like you're not going to be competitive. In which case, if you're already trading those two, why are you keeping Trevor Larnach for $4.5 million? Why are you keeping Ryan Jeffers for a year? Like, now you're looking at, and lastly, the catcher depth after Jeffers, frick, there's like nothing. Like, just not even like a solid AAA catcher. Like, they'd have to go sign out and not sign that. But like, that's why I think like if Lopez is gone, they're going to probably go down to a $70 million payroll and just sit there for a year or two.
If we're assuming that you're gonna end up trading Lopez, what type of player would you want in return? Like, what are you looking for?
Best value. If you're trading Lopez, this is then a long-term full schedule rebuild. I don't care. Just give me the best value and the best player you think. Don't do what you did at the deadline and do like this half-assed building for the future, like give yourself a higher ceiling if you're going to go for it.
Right. Don't worry about position or anything. Just get the best player available.
This is silly, but I kind of wonder how much of that was driven by the fact that they traded 11 players off their roster. So they needed to fill out a roster. So they couldn't just go get a guy in Double-A that was really highly thought of. Like
that was what I was
whereas
thinking.
now if you're trading these 2 starters, you don't have to worry about filling 26 spots right now.
Right.
Tomorrow.
It felt like at a certain point they were doing trades to replace the pitching they had traded away.
Right.
Bradley.
Well, Griffin Jack's also added out. Like, to me, if you look at it like face value, they traded a high caliber reliever for a young, promising, former top 50 pitching prospect. That's probably about what you would ask for. It's just, it just doesn't look like Bradley's it anymore. Like it just feel like you've seen he's not only just pitched he's pitched like 350 innings in the majors at a 4.2 ERA. And by the way, most of that is with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
Now the Twins have already gotten a good trade from like Joe Ryan was a AAA pitcher for the Rays. That is a true success story. If you can do that with the Rays, that's great. But like that seems more like an outlier than what you can expect.
And the biggest, I'd say the most prominent prospect you got of all those deals was Mick Abel. And I already kind of did my spiel on him. It just seems like it would have started going the right direction by now if he was really going to be
Right.
something.
Edward, so he was actually the second. Edward Taiit was a catching
Okay.
prospect. He's a very young, as I think in like high ed, they've been pushing him aggressively. Like he's the name. Abel was
Okay.
the second, but yes, I can agree with it. They
At least have the major league ready folks. He would be
right.
the top
Well,
guy.
they're so yeah, they want because I think they still were fooling themselves into thinking they could compete going into next year, and I think they saw what they traded for and was like, ooh, I don't
Yeah.
think we can compete with this roster anymore. And oh, what's that? What's our payroll? We don't know yet. Okay, great, thanks. It's depressing.